Hello and welcome to Rajya Sabha TV. You're watching Discussion Today with me, Tina Jha. External Affairs Minister S Jaishankar arrived in Dhaka on Thursday to prepare the ground for Prime Minister Narendra Modi's upcoming visit to Bangladesh. The Prime Minister is scheduled to pay a 2-day visit to the neighbouring country beginning the 26th of March to participate in the 50th anniversary celebrations of the liberation of Bangladesh in 1971. Upon his arrival to Dhaka on Thursday, the External Affairs Minister held talks with his counterpart on a host of bilateral and regional issues. The two foreign ministers also took an overview of bilateral MoUs that are likely to be signed during the Prime Minister's visit later this month. On Discussion Today, we will be analysing the significance of Prime Minister Modi's visit to Bangladesh, which will be his first foreign trip since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic. And we'll also take a relook at the India-Bangladesh relations. Joining me are two eminent experts on the program. Let me introduce them to you. We have with us Mr. Pinak Ranjan Chakravarti, former High Commissioner of India to Bangladesh, and Joyita Bhattacharjee, Senior Fellow ORF. Welcome to both our guests on this edition of Discussion Today. Mr. Chakravarti, so let me begin the program with you. What is the significance of the Prime Minister's visit to Bangladesh, considering it will be his first foreign trip since the outbreak of the pandemic? And what does it symbolize of the India-Bangladesh relations?
Well, I think it comes at a very significant time because Bangladesh is celebrating 50 years of its independence and the 100th anniversary of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's birthday have coincided this year. And clearly, this is a very, very important event for Bangladesh. And it's a great honor for, I think, the Prime Minister, our Prime Minister, to be invited as the chief guest in these celebrations, which begin, I think, or must have already begun. But I think this is the month where 26th of March, when the Declaration of Independence was made by the Bangladeshi leader. And so I think this is, and it's a year-long celebration, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And it'll consist of many, many things, exhibitions, issue of stamps, etc. So it's an important aspect of our relationship, this sort of story of a shared struggle and shared bloodshed, etc. And today, Bangladesh is certainly one of our steadfast neighbors and friends, close friend. It's our largest trading partner, and Bangladeshis are the largest number of foreign tourists who come to India. And there are hundreds of other things. The railway connectivities are taking place across many of these nodes that had gone defunct. Trade will certainly grow after this COVID pandemic is over. We have provided the vaccination to Bangladesh as the as number one, on the list of our sort of recipients. Some free, and then of course also on commercial basis. So I think these are all aspects of the growing friendship and the growing closeness between the two neighbors and the connectivities that are being established. So I think this augurs well for the future, but we have to keep a close eye on what happens and obviously navigate all the problems and all the geopolitical issues that will certainly be faced by both countries.
Absolutely. Joyita Bhattacharjee, so when we talk about this growing friendship, the special relationship between India and Bangladesh, the year 2021 is very, very historic for both India and Bangladesh because we celebrate the 50th year of our bilateral diplomatic ties as well. So if we are to analyze the growing relationship between both the countries, especially in recent years, how would you describe the major developments in the partnership, especially under Prime Minister Modi and his counterpart, Sheikh Hasina?
Definitely. I think India-Bangladesh relationship right now is a copybook example how the two neighbors should behave. And I think the high point of our relationship has been we have peacefully resolved all our boundary disputes. So this is something we really have to recognize, not only our land boundary, but also maritime boundary. And we have, of course, we have gone to International Court of Justice, but we have respected it and we have resolved it. That is something we really have to recognize at this point, because then, of course, we have to look into the facets of cooperation that is emerging. And the most important, I think, has been the security cooperation, the way the things have emerged. And today we see our defense cooperation, which, of course, started with the liberation war, is going hand in hand. It is growing like anything. This is very important to highlight the defense cooperation that is going on. And I think, and not only it's like security and all, our business are growing, people to people connectivity. We really have to recognize the way the visa regime has been transformed over the years. And today, India issues highest number of visa that India issues is in Bangladesh. So more than 1 million visas been issued. I think last year we had almost 15 lakh visas. So these are very, very important things to highlight, and it would not have been possible unless the political will was there. And we have seen it has been developed. The kind of the visits are going on. Mr. Modi, this will be the second time he is going to Bangladesh, but also the top leaders been discussing and meeting in various other forums also, like they met on the sideline of United Nations General Assembly in 2019. So these are the very positive steps, and we have to give we have to give credit to the leadership who has really worked, because unless they show us the path, it is not possible for the nation to. So they have given the able and credible leadership, and that is why we see the positive things are emerging. And today, like undoubtedly, the Bangladesh is India and Bangladesh friendship. They are the best friend in the neighborhood.
Absolutely. Mr. Chakravarti, so when we are marking 50 years of diplomatic ties, and 50 years is a long time, which are the specific areas in which we have made significant progress in terms of our strengthening relationship with our neighbor?
Well, I would put connectivity as number one, and number two, I would put people-to-people contact. Because connectivity, railway, by road, by waterway, has expanded tremendously. And this is helping transportation of goods. Waterway being one of the cheapest methods of transportation of bulk commodities, for example. And railway connectivity is happening. There is one missing sort of link in railway connectivity between Agartala and Akhauра, the latter in Bangladesh. Once that is completed, you can conceivably run a train from Delhi right up Agartala through Bangladesh, of course, given the necessary sort of permission and infrastructure. I think infrastructure area is progressing very, very rapidly. This will help integrate the roads and rails, etc. Containerized traffic has started by rail, which is again a cheaper mode of transportation than road. And of course, the road, the motor vehicles agreement, the BPI, etc. Can also provide seamless connectivity between for transportation of goods. We also, of course, need to focus on the integrated checkposts, and we have to increase them so that these provide the necessary transporter nodes for people to come in, goods to go, etc. So there is a lot of work to be done. We of course have the coastal shipping agreement where boats and ships can now go from smaller ports in India to ports in Bangladesh directly.
Yes.
Then we have the transshipment agreement where goods can flow from Kolkata to, say, Chittagong and then by road into Agartala, which are, these are landlocked states in the northeast. Bangladesh is also keen to join the trilateral highway agreement that we have, and work is going on between Myanmar, India, and Thailand. So I think once Bangladesh is connected to that, it will get an opportunity to have its own look east policy, an act east policy towards Myanmar, Thailand, right up the ASEAN heartland. So I think these are all developments that I would place at the top of the list of what is happening. There are, of course, cultural and other aspects. The third aspect, I would say, is development cooperation, where India's lines of credit and grants have been utilized by Bangladesh for a variety of sort of projects, including village clinics, including solid waste management, including garbage disposal. Very, very micro level credits are going in this area. Apart from large grant that has been given for the Padma Bridge, which is going to be a game changer. This huge bridge that is coming up will connect North and South Bangladesh, and of course onwards to India, towards the west. So this is going to be quite a game changer in infrastructural development. So these are some of the aspects that are propelling bilateral ties to greater heights.
Yes. Joyita, so no doubt India and Bangladesh, in fact, Bangladesh is one of the major development partners for India. And you also said the relationship that we share is a textbook example of how relationships between a neighbor should be. But has the growing influence of China in our neighbor posed concern for India, especially in the manner, China and Bangladesh have developed their relationship significantly in recent years on the commercial and economic fronts? Do you see that having any bearing on India-Bangladesh relationship?
Definitely, the growth of China-Bangladesh relationship, it has grown. There is no question about it. But I think, India-Bangladesh relationship itself is very, very unique. Because we cannot forget the history, how our foundation was laid of this relationship, and also we can't overlook the geography, that how India and Bangladesh are connected. So this is a bond which is very, very important, and it cannot be whatever the relationship grow, but India-Bangladesh relationship cannot be overlooked, neither by India nor by Bangladesh. So this one aspect they have to understand. And I think, one of the very important factor that we have to recognize has been the recent vaccine diplomacy. Initially, there was a lot of buzz that China will give vaccine, this, that. But ultimately, when it came to they took our vaccine only. And right now, the kind of gratitude the people of Bangladesh are expressing, it's so I think, China might, and a lot of people in Bangladesh, they do say that it is the relationship cannot be equated. China-Bangladesh relationship and India's relationship cannot be equated, because with India, we have shared our blood together, and the cultural, the social, the linkages, it's very difficult to overtake or overlook India. So this is a factor. But having said so, this is a factor we have to look into, because this relationship, the way China is moving, there has been a geostrategic aspect in it. We cannot overlook that relationship. But so long, I think, so we have to be watchful of the developments that is happening. But I think these checks and balances, and the more linkages and connectivities we have, and the more we develop it, there will be competition. We can't overlook the competition we are going to face. But I think those softer aspects that we have, that is our strength, and we have to work on those lines more to make the relationship much stronger, so that in the next 50 years, in the centennial year, will be much better. We will be much stronger together.
Okay. Mr. Chakrabarti, so Joyita Bhattacharjee says, of course, India and Bangladesh share a unique bond. It is based on shared bonds of history, culture, language. But in recent years, there have also been some uneasiness in the relationship over, of course, matters that are purely internal to India. But they have led to some sort of disquiet in Bangladesh, such as updation of NRC, our Citizenship Amendment Act that took place. We also saw 2 of their ministers cancelling their visit to India. How do you see that impacting India-Bangladesh relationship in the longer run?
Well, I think developments within India, and of course bilateral issues like sharing of river waters and the killings on the border sometimes, because there is a huge porous border where smugglers operate and criminals operate, and sometimes they get into incidents with the BSF. So these are some of the irritants that are there, and there is, of course, let us not forget that the Rohingya issue, where
Yes.
so over 1 million refugees have fled from persecution in Myanmar and taken shelter in Bangladesh. Now, the NRC and the CAA has added disquiet to that to feelings in Bangladesh, because there is some sort of disquiet that this might lead to some kind of reverse migration of migrants who are living and working in India and who have come from Bangladesh, and particularly the Muslims, because the CEA actually will provide fast-track citizenship to the others, those who are not Muslims and who have fled from these countries for reasons of persecution. So there are these feelings there. And China, of course, is a major factor, because don't forget, China's trade with Bangladesh is double that of India, almost $18 billion. And China has been a regular sort of supplier of financing for various infrastructure projects as well. And it has deep pockets, it can spend more money. And don't forget, all of our neighbors have joined the Chinese, this mega sort of BRI sort of initiative that they have. But let us not blame anybody, or Bangladesh particularly, that they will certainly sort of leverage their relationship with China to get more funding. Bangladesh has clearly said that both China and India are our development partners, and on that, in this sector, they will welcome development funds, they will welcome technology and whatever that they can get. Bangladesh is still an LDC, but now has graduated into a developing country very recently. And by 2026, Bangladesh will become a developing country and no longer an LDC. This is, of course, a great achievement for Bangladesh and their economy, which has performed remarkably. And it's one of the fastest growing economies in Asia, and has been acknowledged by ADB, World Bank, and everybody. So I think economically Bangladesh is doing very well. And if they continue to do so well, Bangladesh's per capita income might exceed that of India in the next few years. So that's the kind of progress they have made economically.
Yes.
And of course, if in HDI and social and other indicators, Bangladesh has already surpassed India in many ways. So I think Bangladesh is no longer that Bangladesh which was described in 1971 and 72 as an international basket case. And Bangladesh has come a very, very long way. And it is very, very creditable for the Bangladeshi people and its leadership to have reached this stage of economic development. And plus, a whole new generations, a couple of generations have grown up since the 1971 war. And they are much more aspirational, and they see also China has progressed a lot, so they look towards China as well. So I think these are natural factors that we have to deal with, but there are counterbalancing sort of issues that are there, and the geography dictates a lot of policies. After all, look at Bangladesh is surrounded by India except for about a few hundred kilometers of Myanmar border. So I think that dictates a lot of the policies that both countries have towards each other, apart from the historical, civilizational, language, culture, food, cuisine, everything that we share with Bangladesh.
Yes.
After all, we were all together before 1947. And so I think these are issues. There are unique aspects to both relationships. But
and even in the
India
post-COVID world, we have an opportunity to strengthen it further. Joyita, we've seen that even during the pandemic, both India and Bangladesh have sort of deepened their relationship in areas of tackling disasters, such as the ongoing pandemic, and of course, in the area of connectivity. We saw there have been several projects that have been announced. In the post-COVID world, if we see, India and Bangladesh have an opportunity to capitalize on this changing world order. But the question is how? How can they do it together when it comes to keeping in mind the best interests of each other?
Absolutely. I have just, I was supposed to come to this point, and you have asked a very pertinent question. I think, we really have to understand how not only the changing world order, also how the South Asia is changing. Now, as already we are seeing, India was a developing country. Now we have a partner in Bangladesh. And the way Bangladesh's GDP is growing, and also it is a much more stronger Bangladesh we are seeing. So I think, the India and Bangladesh are destined to work together. It's and it has a lot of potentials, because in the post-COVID world, there will be a lot of when it comes to economic cooperation is an area where we really have to focusing on the supply chain aspect is going to come in a major way. We really have to look into it, because we have both India and Bangladesh has a major, we have to look at the demography. We have the advantage of the demography, and also the skills. We have huge, our educational systems are quite good. We have been supplying manpower to different parts of the world, very skilled manpower, both India and Bangladesh. So I think it is very time, it is the absolute perfect time to look at how we can change our dynamics, and we can take the advantage of the situation, and we can use this in our own benefit of both the country. I would say that the time has come not only to look into the benefit of our own both the countries, but to look for the South Asia region also. Also, we have to look at the geopolitics, and especially I think there's a lot of potential when we look into the Indo-Pacific aspect of the region, and how the Bay of Bengal can play a major role. And here I think we should work together. Also, we have to look into the climate change aspect of it, because climate change is emerging in a major way, and looking into our again, I would say, both the countries have our challenges, and here we can come up with our research. So the future cooperation should be more on the economic cooperation. Skill training is another area we have to focus on for the benefit of both the countries. Also look into the science and technological cooperation should be given a major thrust in the future years to come. And Bangladesh has done a lot of research when it comes to in the field of agriculture, looking into the climate resistance, crop patterns and everything. So we have also the fisheries. Because another area that very few people want to look into is the fisheries, because the whole Bay of Bengal we can't look into on one aspect. So, and it also involves a lot of livelihood aspect of not only for India and Bangladesh, there is Sri Lanka, Thailand, the whole region is in. So there are potentials, and we have to look beyond. Security, again, I would say the security impact will come, but we have to look beyond the regular way of discourses and widen our focus.
Absolutely. Mr. Chakrabarty, so far so good. We've had a steady partnership, but how do we sustain it in the times to come and further strengthen it?
Well, I think we'll have to work very hard on the issues that are still on the table in terms of water sharing, in terms of dealing with illegal migration, etc., because these are very sensitive issues.
Yes.
How to manage the border better, how to provide greater facility for people to travel legally, and also facilitate trade. There are bottlenecks on trade as well along the border. There are, for example, phytosanitary standards that have to be met, and we still do not have a final sort of a solution as to how to deal with it. Certification of say food and other agricultural items that need to be certified under the laws. So I think these are some of the issues that do sort of hinder trade in many ways. And then there are some local issues along the border where the trade takes place. But slowly, I think these issues are being handled. And facilitation of trade is a very important aspect. After all, China is far away, yet it trades about 18 billion with Bangladesh, whereas our trade is about 9 to 10 billion. So, and we are just next door. So there must be some issues that need to be dealt with. Then, moreover, I think we must go very fast and establish, Bangladesh has already done it, the special economic zones that Bangladesh has offered to Indian companies. So these would get some advantages if Indian companies go there, start manufacturing, and they can market not only in Bangladesh, they can export from there, and they can market their products in India as well. I mean, there are many, many companies who sell products from, let's say, the southern part of India into Bangladesh. If they were to manufacture there, then it would be easier for them to to send their goods even into the northeastern region. So I think, or the northeastern states. So that's where connectivity comes in. That's where the economic sort of activity in manufacturing comes in. So there are many, many areas where these have to be dealt with in the future.
Yes.
But I am hopeful that we are going to have better and better relations with Bangladesh.
Of course, we are all hopeful. So on that note, I'll have to call it a wrap on this edition of discussion today. We do share warm and friendly ties with Bangladesh, but there are some thorny issues that need to be resolved, such as those mentioned by Mr. Chakrabarti on water sharing, on border management, and also removing the bottlenecks in trade. And we are hopeful we'll do much, much better in future. Thank you to both our guests for joining us on the program and sharing your perspective on this very, very crucial subject. The Prime Minister will be embarking on his first foreign trip to Bangladesh ever since the outbreak of the pandemic. And let's all be very hopeful that the ties between both countries will further strengthen in the times to come. So that's it from us on discussion today. Just in case you missed the television broadcast of our program, you can watch it on YouTube, and you can also send us your feedback and suggestions as well. Thank you for your time.